Reddit, what was the best comeback you have ever had to your parents from your children? Stubbed my toe and out of pain yelled frick really loud. My 3-year-old daughter looks at me and says, "Mom, you can't say that because I'll repeat it. LOL. I don't think I've ever recovered from a stubbed toe so quickly." That's one clever 3-year-old. When I was in high school, my mom confronted me about finding condoms in my room. My response: "That's funny. I don't use condoms." Not me, but a relative's kid. He's Asian, and his dad is your run-of-the-mill high expectations Asian father. "Dad, why can't you be like Bob? He's younger than you and already got into Stanford. I am so ashamed of you sometimes." "Kid, why can't you be like Obama? He's younger than you and is already president. I am so ashamed of you sometimes." My uncle used to joke with me a lot, usually at my expense. One time, he, my dad, my best friend at the time, and I were going on a trip somewhere, and he was talking about how he could swallow a piece of string and pull it out his nose. I don't remember how it came up. In mock fascination, I asked how he managed to do that, and he said he just suppressed his gag reflex. I said, "Yeah, I bet you've got plenty of experience doing that." I don't think I've ever heard my dad laugh that hard in my life. In the early 80s, my dad bought a set of used encyclopedia from the school where he taught. They were just post World War II, maybe 1950 or so. My older brother, about 12 at the time, was bitching about how old they were and how they were useless. My dad said, "Oh come on, they aren't that bad." My brother said, "I just looked up George Washington and it said he's a promising young private in the American militia." My dad laughed his butt off. Age jokes are always win. This is kind of reversed, but whatever. When I was 18, I was jumped and beat with golf clubs. It sucked, but whatever. After that, my dad would be like, "Want to go golfing? Oh, sorry, let's go clubbing? Oh, crap. Who the frick just jumped you with golf clubs?" In high school, I was hanging out with a friend in my room when my dad said he was going to the store and asked if I wanted anything. As a joke, I said, "Get me a pack of condoms, would you?" To which he replied, "Don't worry, you can't get your hand pregnant." My friend almost died laughing as I just looked down in shame. After my brother said a sarcastic comment to my dad, who's losing his hair, "Dad, you know, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. Brother, you know, bald is the lowest form of hair." My dad, who is sarcastic, always says, "You know, jealousy is a form of mental illness" to my stepmother whenever she gets jealous. That shuts her up. My mum was not afraid of dealing out a well-deserved smack, but as I got older, I approached her size rather rapidly, so instead, she just raised her hand like she was about to smack me, knowing full well that a smack would have no physical effect, so the raised hand was her indicator to stop doing whatever stupid crap I was doing. One time at dinner when I was like 9, I was pushing her buttons and she raised her hand. I said, "Well, seems like an awkward time for it, but why not?" High five, giving her a high five. She tried to keep a straight face, but with me and my 2 sisters cracking up, it didn't last. First 3 times I read this, I read it as my mum was not afraid of dealing out a well-deserved snack, but as I got older, I approached her size rather rapidly. The rest started to sound like child abuse until I got the first sentence right. Stop leaving doors open. Were you born in a barn? No, I was born in a hospital with doors that close behind you. Boom. Fatality. This never worked with my sisters and I because we had family friends who legitimately lived in a barn. So mom would try this. Always ended in some smartest comment about how the people who live in the barn don't leave their doors open. My son has unjoke comebacks, but they still stopped us in our tracks. Find him climbing the cabinets to get something illicit. What do you think you're doing getting down? Catch him coming downstairs an hour after bedtime. Where are you going back to bed? I think he was 3 or 4 when these happened. Me to my naked 2-year-old son. "Hey buddy, it's time to go get in the bathtub." Son, "No, me." Picks up son and starts walking to the bathroom. Son, shoots all over my arm. "You just made me spit toothpaste all over my laptop. I hope you're happy." When I was in middle school, I was kind of a dong. and also a fan of Married with Children. When my parents sat me down and told me you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, I replied yes, but if you pull their wings off they'll eat anything. I later found out that the reason the talk didn't continue is because I had to leave so they wouldn't laugh in front of me. I don't get it. I was dating this chick that had 3 daughters. The middle one, 7 or 8 years old, was talking, arguing, actually, with her mom about what they were going to order on their pizza. Girl, I don't want mushrooms on it. They're gross. Mom, oh be quiet. You can't even taste them. Girl, then why do you want them on there? Mom, win for the 7-year-old. No mushrooms on the pizza. I LOL'd. I had this exact argument with my mom when I was a kid. Awesome. 7 years old. Mom, sometimes I wish you weren't such a smart butt. Me, would it be better if I was a dumb butt? Mom wants to be mad. Can't. Laughing. She still tells that story to people today. I'm 24. And that's a pretty smartest thing to say. My dad, jokingly, to 9 or 10-year-old me, hey little boy, how you get to be so ugly? Me, without missing a beat, must be genetic. Understanding genetics and its use in insults at 9 or 10 is impressive to me. Maybe it shouldn't be. Mom, I can't freaking believe you're doing pot. You better tell me where you got that crap. 14-year-old me, your closet. I hate spiders. When my son was about 4 we were riding in the car and I hear his voice pipe up with mom. There's a spider on your shoulder. I naturally freak out and wriggle around trying to brush it off while asking him if it was gone. He says yeah, I don't see it. A few minutes later he breaks the silence again by saying I can't believe you fell for that. He was clever at all, he would have told you it was back instead. My oldest son is 6 years old, and one day he was telling me that the school was partnered with a nearby roller rink for a special discount evening. Since I was finding out last minute, I told him we weren't going because we already had plans. What followed was this whining, argumentative exchange about it, and he hits me with this, son, crying, Rolleroo is going to be mad at me. He's going to be mad if I don't go. I have to go. Me, Rolleroo isn't going to be mad at you. Son, Rolleroo is going to be mad at me. I have to go. They said I have to go. Me, you don't need to go anywhere. Besides, you're bringing me this crap at the last minute and we already have plans. What they're doing is called marketing. Rolleroo doesn't care if you go. He just wants your money. Son, no he doesn't. He's going to be mad at me. Me, you know what? If Rolleroo gets mad at you, you tell that stupid freaking kangaroo to come talk to me. Son, crying stops on a dime. Rolleroo is a mascot. Dad, mascots don't talk. WTF. I don't remember them on account of the fact that coming up with them all 10 minutes later renders them pretty irrelevant. L'esprit d'escalier is a B. Also a B. That we don't have a cool expression for this in English, because everybody knows the feeling, but you can't call it l'esprit d'escalier without sounding like a pretentious douche. It's the other way around. But, my mom, like most parents, got tired of the are we there yet conversation. One day, it unexpectedly went, are we there yet? Number. Are we there yet? Number. Are we there yet? Yes. Get out. That shut us up for a while. My brother was in high school and having sex with his girlfriend when my dad walked in. My gruff SWAT team dad was furious. My brother looked him square in the eye and said that, in 10 years we're going to laugh about this. Dad had to leave the room to keep from laughing. Recently, I was pretending to be a tickle lobster for my 3-year-old daughter. She simply pretended to put imaginary rubber bands on my claws, neutralizing me. It took me a minute to realize she picked us up from seeing them like that at the grocery store. Internet high five for your daughter. Me, laying on my bed, listening to music, reading a book, and being 15. Mom walks in. Mom, I want this room clean. Me, so do I. It just stunned her so much she was speechless and left. My retort to my smart butt kids, if you clean it, you get to keep your stuff. I'll clean it for you but I'm doing it with trash bags. One of them said try it. 3 bags of toys went to Goodwill. My mother-in-law would follow other parents' style of parenting and was easily influenced by others. One of her friends would rant about how bad Harry Potter, Sabrina, etc. was because it was teaching witchcraft and was made by the devil blah blah blah. She eventually told my wife and her younger sister, probably 12 and 14, that they could no longer watch Sabrina because of the witchcraft and the talking cat. My wife's sister then yells out, so now we can't watch Garfield either. I always thought that was a pretty genius response. Pretty generic, but I was about 14 and outside doing some yard work when I got bit by a gardener snake. So I ran back inside and told my dad what happened. He looks at me and says, "You are such a pea." So I look up at him and without thinking I responded with, "You are what you eat, dong." I don't think I have ever heard my dad laugh so hard in my life. As an Australian, I found the idea of calling anyone bitten by a snake a pea pretty bloody harsh. Then I looked up your snake and understood. We were going to San Antonio to visit my brother. I was going to get to the hotel just before dinner time and was discussing dinner plans with my father. Me: "Are there any good places for Mexican in the area?" Dad: "I don't know. Maybe I'll ask your brother." Me: "He should know. He eats Mexican all the time." Dad: "Just because his wife is Mexican doesn't mean..." Oh, I get where you're going. That's disgusting. When I was 16, my dad got pulled for DUI and subsequently lost his license for 30 days. Anytime he would start to get angry about something, I would stop him and say, "I think someone needs a ride to work in the morning. You might want to calm down." He should have said, "If you like having a roof over your head, you might want to take me to work." Kid: "Frick you. Mom, you're a son of a bee." Kid: "I know. That's why I said frick you." Overheard conversation that floored me years ago. "The only time my mom ever swore at me," she said, addressed to my dad as she stormed away, "He's such a son of a bee," and I screamed back, "I know I am." And my dad laughed. I had been calling for my daughter, who was around 5 at the time, several times because she had made a mess in the living room. When I called her for like the 16th time, she comes sauntering into the living room, puts her hands on her hips and goes, "Mom, you really don't have a lot of control over your own kid." I had to leave the living room and go outside to laugh. She's a cheeky one. My brother: "Frick, I'm hungry." His then 2-year-old son: "Yeah dad, I wanna fricking eat." A definite you laugh, you lose moment. I have this particular thing that I can't stand: eating meat on the bone, for example, chicken wings, legs, shanks, etc. One day my dad was trying to convince me, I was like 8-9 at the time, to eat a chicken drumstick, and of course I absolutely refused. His argument: "Come on son, think what is the best part of the woman? It's the legs, right?" My response: "I still think breasts are better." One of the very few times my dad was absolutely speechless and couldn't come up with a counter argument. Epic win. All this tells me is that your father is a cannibal. My oldest is in 5th grade, so he's at that age where it's not cool to hug or hold hands with me in public anymore. We were at Target a while back, and all of a sudden he reaches over and grabs my hand. I said, "Wow kiddo, you're not too cool to hold mommy's hand anymore." He looks at me with a smirk and says, "Well, there's nobody here that I know." Napping on the couch home one weekend from college. Mom was folding laundry in the living room while watching Home Improvement. The pot episode was on, the one where they find a dime in Brad's book bag or something, can't remember the details. After it was over, Mom asked me if I had ever smoked pot. Me, being too tired hungover to deal with that crap at the moment, replied with yay a couple of times. Don't act like you never did. Rolled over and went back to sleep on the couch. Not another word was said. Dude, she was looking for the hookup. Back when I was in college, had this heated argument with my mom about her cleaning my room in Cantonese. Me: "Don't touch my things. Now I don't know where my stuff is at." Mom: "Frick your mom." Common curse in Chinese. Me: "Yes, go frick my mom." Silence. Mom: "Huh." Me: "You said go FCK yourself." The heated argument turned into a law fest. Let us say teens and up. The rule was that after 9 PM it was mom and dad time and the kids were to go to bed. They were not kidding either. Few times I went to get a drink of water at 10 or 11 I would find my dad naked in the kitchen or something terrible like that. I used to joke I was terrified to come out of my room in fear I would see them do some crazy crap like hanging from the ceiling fan butt naked. Finally got married and moved to NC. One of the first times they visited and stayed at my house, we were in the living room watching 300, and when the movie ended my dad said he was going to hit the hay. I said yes, and since you are at my house dad, make sure you don't come out after 9. He just laughed and said that's my dare. So, background. My mom wishes that I were a lesbian. It's the night before my parents' legendary Christmas party, and we're making mushrooms stuffed with sausages. She's explaining that you can either push the meat out of the skin on the sausage link, or you can slit the skin and pull it out that way. I said, I'd prefer a slit. Mom, I knew it. I knew you were a lesbian. Which turned into me yelling, I like dong. I like dong. Once when I was a kid, my mom and I were driving down a back road in my hometown when a cat shot out in front of the car a little too late and wound up getting ran over. Naturally, as an 8-year-old I was horrified and completely blown away at my mom's steely reserve about the entire thing. She just kept driving despite having clearly ran over a cat. The conversation went something like this. Me, Mom, you ran over a cat. Mom, yes I did. Me, why didn't you stop for it? Mom, was going too fast. Didn't have time to stop. Wasn't going to swerve. Me, did you even see what kind of cat it was? Mom, Himalayan. Me, how do you know that? Mom, Himalayan and Raotas. This made my day. Please call your mom and tell her you love her. Years ago I was singing along with Pink Floyd on the stereo. My kid asked me who sang the song. When I replied Pink Floyd, he said let's keep it that way, little prick. I always had a hard time going to sleep as a kid, and would try anything to stay up a little later. This particular night I thought I would use my advantage of being daddy's little girl to ask for a glass of water from him. He said no, at which I sat up in bed, looked him right in the eyes and said, when I was born, I thought you were going to be a good daddy. I was 5. I still feel bad for saying it. My sister tried to pull the daddy, I love you, buy me candy, became a family joke. Whenever I want something it always starts with daddy, I love you. Probably get buried and it's not really a comeback, but I was about 10-11 and was at the grocery store with my mother. She's in the alcohol aisle looking at wine and all of a sudden my young brain has one of the best ideas ever. I grab her arm and start hanging from it saying in a loud voice, no, Mom, please, no more booze. Just to clarify, my parents were not alcoholics, but the opportunity was too good to pass up. She got a stunned look on her face and then started laughing. My dad was talking about how he doesn't mind gay people, but marriage is for procreation, and therefore gays shouldn't marry. I then reminded him of all the times he's reminded my 3 older sisters and me that we were all accidents, that they never wanted kids and that he got a vasectomy after I was born. It sounds much more lighthearted when he says it than written down. It was the first time he's ever admitted defeat in an argument. My dad liked to joke that when I was 18, he was going to break my plate. That was his way of saying, no more free ride, no more free meals. So one day, friends of his are over and he trots that old line out again. Dad, yeah, when he turns 18, I'm going to break his plate. Me, that's alright, I'll just get a part-time job. Dad, oh yeah, and how long do you think that'll last? Me, it'll dang sure last long enough to buy a new plate. My dad has always been a fairly homophobic guy and an outspoken one at that. When I was in high school he was going on one of his typical rants and said, if they call themselves gays, shouldn't they act happy all the time? I replied, well if people like you quit pee them off all the time, they probably would be. He walked out the room without saying another word. 15 years old, drunk for the first time, horribly hungover the next day, and I blamed it on eating too many Oreos. Dad knew the score but never said a word. 2 weeks later I walk into the kitchen and my dad is eating Oreos. I grab one from the bag and my dad blocks my hand and says, careful son, last time you ate Oreos they left you with a nasty hangover. This is the opposite, but what the heck. My brother got angry at my mom for not ironing his shirt at the last minute before some event. She had offered to do it earlier but he said no, then demanded she do it last minute. Brother, well you can just suck my dong. Mom, without hesitation, you would like that, wouldn't you? For your mom to suck your dong. I cannot describe the uncomfortable silence that followed. Most twisted, hilarious smile on my face when I read this. When I was still in high school I was having an argument with my mom. She said something like, well I guess I just assumed you'd know better, in that kind of sarcastic mom tone that anyone who grew up with a mom is familiar with. So I said, well, you know what they say mom, you shouldn't assume because it makes a butt out of you. You. She finished. And me. To which I replied I said you. She didn't find anywhere near as funny as I did. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.